In this video, I'm going to show you how to do your impeller and your housing for your Mercruiser Alpha 1. This is the Generation 1. Generation 2 is pretty similar. Make sure you drain your lower end oil. I have a video link for that. So I'm going to do the top bolt here first, and I'll explain why in a minute here. So this is a 3/8. It's hard to get in there. Then there's a 5/8 from the bottom. We'll take these two bolts out. Then I'm going to go around to the back here, 5/8 inch socket. Now the lighting's not good back here, so I'm just going to show you from the angle. And the reason why I do the back and front first is because these two pieces, it's going to need room for the bolt to come out, so it's going to need room to separate. There we go, 5/8 inch, and actually the wrench worked the best upside down. So now I'm going to do these side two bolts here, which, like I said, it'd be easier to drop it once you get the front and back off. Okay, so I got that bolt as high as I can get. It won't come out until I loosen the other side. Then once you get it like slightly off, you can start wiggling your other two bolts off that wouldn't come out because it wasn't low enough. Just a reminder, these all have the plastic Loctite lock in them. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but I kind of just, the ground is super soft, so I just squish the scag in the bottom of the ground so it'd sit up. You want to make sure you're going to grease your this point. Make sure you don't forget that gasket in there also. For this far bolt, you can use a 1/2 inch socket or wrench. For these first two, it's a 7/16. For this last bolt, you're going to want to use a 5/16. So what I did is I got some gas on a paper towel. I'm just going to clean the shaft off, so that way this thing slides off way easier. There we go. Get it all cleaned off. Okay, remember, there's a key on here, and it's on my back side here. So you cannot lose your key. I'm gonna wipe it off with a little gas here. Don't lose your key. And remember which way your impeller sits, because you're gonna want it to go back in this same direction. I'm going to check out the inside. So what you want to do is inspect in here to see if there's any grooves. Because if there's any grooves, you won't get a tight seal on the rubber and it won't pump water to your motor. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to replace this anyways just because the whole kit was $65. I'm going to use some marine grease inside of here just so the impeller can get in. Don't forget to grease these points right here. Now that it's greased, I'm going to want to try to spin it in. This is going to suck, but it's got to be done. That grease is sure helping. So now once you got it in, you're going to put your key back on. Well, replace your gaskets first. Okay, you're going to want to put the gaskets on in this order. So you put this one down first. There's going to be holes to line up for the little spots in here. then your metal one. Make sure you have this groove aiming down, and then this one. You want to grab your key. I like to put a little grease on it so it sticks. Then it'll stick on the back here. Then you're going to want to slide this down gently and make sure you get your groove in the right spot by the key. Grab your gas rag and spin your shaft once it's in there to like make it line up right. There. Now grab all your washers and make sure you get your washers in right. Don't forget this. Okay, as I'm tightening these down, you're going to want to kind of go every other. So do these two sides, then kind of work on the edges. I'm going to explain something as I'm putting these in. I could have taken the whole housing off, which then I would have replaced these smaller little gaskets underneath everything. But this impeller was done just like a year ago. So I'm not going to do that. Those gaskets are going to be good. But I did replace all the other ones because this is mainly just for a video. Make sure they're tight, but don't crank them down too tight because you're cranking them on a plastic piece. Okay, now that that's done, this is kind of like a guide tube. So it sits in here, but this is where the water comes through. So it seals in here, but you're just gonna wanna slide it up on here. So make sure you grease everything back up before you slide your lower end back on. And make sure I cake it. So now I have everything kind of hand tightened, pretty snug down. I have my tube ready, my shifter greased, this all greased up. I'm going to slide this in. Okay, when you're putting your lower end, remember to put that little tiny seal in for your oil pump to go up. Grease all your sprockets basically, or your shafts, and when you're putting it on, the reason why you want to put it in gear is so when you spin this, it can adjust the shaft to try to fit in there. So it might take a little work to get this thing in there, but once you get in there, put the back bolt in just tight, just barely, then put your side bolts in because you won't be able to get them in if the shafts are all the way up, or your bolts. So then slowly start tightening them in. Maybe tighten these bottom ones in first, not so tight, and then just kind of go back and forth on it, and then that should be it. Start it up, hook up earmuffs, make sure she runs and pumps water out the back. Oh wow, yeah it does. Okay, after you go back and forth, I kind of tighten these up to pull it back in tighter, then I kind of went around and tightened everything up. Once you do that, get your this piece back in. Now that you're finished with that, add your lower end oil. I have a video for that. And I did the engine oil change on this also. So I did the impeller oil change and lower end oil today. You need to celebrate with a beer. If you like this video, subscribe, like. Thank you very much.